folks. K-Dog here. As you can see, I'm driving. And, of course, I'm looking like a fool right now. But we're on our way to Showplace 12 in Muncie, Indiana. AMC Theaters, of course. Going to go see Man of Steel. And I'm really looking forward to this. This is one I've really been looking forward to. This year of summer movies. To be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of stuff that's really interesting. I mean, there's a couple films that look like they could have been good, but not quite. Like The Great Gatsby, and Now You See Me, and The Purge, and but Man of Steel, this is definitely one I've been looking forward to. And I'm sure there's some more that I can't think off of the top of my head. Oh yeah, Pacific Rim. So, but yeah, I'm here to see Man of Steel. See what Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan have done with it. I'm going to go see it in 2D digital. I don't feel like paying, you know, an extra $3 for the 3D, even, especially if it's post-conversion. Let's see. Here we are at the theater, pulling in. And I'm going to try to find a place to park. Alright, on the parking spot, we're going to go see the movie, so here we go.
Goodbye, my son. Our hopes and dreams travel with you.
He'll be an outcast. They'll kill him.
How? He'll be a god to them.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspired to something greater?
My son was in the bus. He saw what Clark did.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to Are We Alone in the Universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son. And I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason. And even if it takes the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is.
How do you find someone who has spent a lifetime covering his tracks? For some, he was a guardian angel. For others, a ghost who never quite fit in.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
You believe your son is safe? I will find him!
My father believed if the world found out who I really was, they'd reject me. He was convinced that the world wasn't ready. What do you think?
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S. How about
Excuse me.
Well, just got out of seeing Man of Steel. I've been home. It's now a little after midnight, but I thought I'd come on and say this review. Well, of course you've seen the pre-intro thing I do. Every time I go to the movie, I show me walking into the theater or pulling into the theater parking lot. Okay, Man of Steel. Long-awaited Christopher Nolan, Zack Snyder adaptation of Superman. Basically, they are giving the Batman take to Superman, trying to reboot it and relaunch it. What can I say about this film? I'm going to go ahead and sum it up. It is exactly what you think it is. Exactly what I said. It is the Superman. It's the Batman, Christopher Nolan Batman take on Superman. Because it starts from beginning, it gives the complete origin story in which they just totally rearranged and redone, and it starts off fresh. And there is, the whole thing starts on Krypton and how Krypton fell apart and Jor-El trying to save everybody, and so the only remaining thing that he can do is to send planet Earth his son, Kal-El, who is a.k.a. Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman. And this film dives deeper. It dives kind of deep into Superman's past as a child. However, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more development on that. It's kind of just showing, okay, this happened when he was a child. This happened when he was a teenager. This happened when he was a young man. And one thing I did think was cool, of course, this is a spoiler-filled review. I'm going to explain some things that happen in the movie. If you have not seen the movie yet, turn this off right now, because it's not worth me just babbling about it and say, oh, how great this is or how poor this is without giving something away. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. There's a scene where they flash back, and I think it's very, very good, but I would like to have seen a little bit more of it, and that is the fact that they show him, and we all know this to be, as terms of Superman, whether you read comic books or not, you would know that Superman is an alien. He grew up just like any other person. He had a childhood, and he had growing pains and all that stuff. One of the things that they put into this movie is his powers, and how his powers can work against him. By that meaning that there's a scene when they show him like he's like in third grade approximately. I don't know. He's in elementary school, and his teacher comes walking up to him. That's when all of a sudden his 3D vision starts kicking in, and he can't control it. He sees her skeleton. He sees all of his classmates' skeletons, and it's starting to frighten him and scare him. And he ends up hiding in the janitor's closet. And the teacher goes to open the door and says, "Clark, come out, come out. What's wrong?" She's concerned. And all of a sudden he hits with the laser beam out of his eyes. He hits the doorknob, and she burns her hand. And then there's this whole thing about, and it does that at points. It goes from him being in an elementary school to being a middle school teenager, saving some kid saving a school bus full of kids because the bus had popped a flat, and he ended up saving them from drowning. So he pulls the bus out. Into being a young man trying to figure out who he is, why can't he just go out and save the world for no apparent reason? And there's deep moments in there. Actually, I think Kevin Costner was very, very good in this. Some people were kind of saying, well, it's Kevin Costner. He's not that great of an actor. Baloney. He was really good in this, and he did a really good job of playing the father. And that was one thing that I felt was kind of lacking in the other movies was, especially Superman 1. They do show that father-son bonding, but then all of a sudden his earthly father is gone. Jonathan Kent dies. But in this film, it goes into a little bit more deeper relationship on that, showing that Jonathan is aware that Clark is not of this world, and he's trying to teach him, but somehow he and his wife Martha understand that he has a special purpose to being on this earth, and that he's going to save the world. He's going to change the world. But it's to a kind of a saying that the world can't handle what it doesn't understand. Meaning, and there comes to a point where he actually does have to talk with Clark and say, look, you got to keep yourself under control. Because if the world lets this out, they will take advantage of you. They will probably have you killed. They will judge you, and this is, of course, when he's in the middle school, teenage years, and he doesn't understand that. You know, his 13, 14-year-old mind can't grasp that, and he has to take him aside and say, look, the world is scared of you, and because the world is scared of you, they will try to eliminate you. They will try to get rid of you in some way. Now, to the main point, to the main meat of the whole, and stuff just falls off. To the whole meat of the whole movie is the whole battle with General Zod, played by Michael Shannon, and of course Henry Cavill as Superman. I thought Henry Cavill did a very good job as playing Superman. Michael Shannon is a good threatening General Zod. But I think the problem is people were kind of expecting Terrence Stamp out of Michael Shannon. You got to understand and take yourself out of the old movie's mindset and put it into a modern day retelling. You cannot bring along what was done with Christopher Reeve into this, except that it's Superman. That's the only thing. You've got to wipe the slate clean and bring it into the now. The problem I had with most of the third act, the whole premise, and I thought it was almost forgotten what the whole thing was going on. And again, spoiler alert, what they're trying to do is make planet Earth the new Krypton. They're going to bring the whole thing, what they were doing on Krypton, to planet Earth. And it starts to heap destruction. Now, my problem is this movie could have been a lot shorter. And here's why. The whole last half of the movie was nothing but big action explosion pieces. It just kept going. It just didn't let up, and there was actually a point where it was getting kind of tiresome. And I went and saw this at a 35 millimeter, or actually digital 35 millimeter 2D presentation. This did not need to be in 3D, folks. IMAX probably, but as for me, I would have lost track of what was going on because it was just too much on screen. There was so much stuff going on. There's so much debris. Don't get me wrong, the special effects in this movie are outstanding. They are very, very good. But it was too much. There is a point in time where you just need to pull back some, and there was just a lot going on. And it was tiresome. So, to wrap this up, it is a fun, entertaining movie to see at the theater. It made me want to, it made me feel, good about being Superman. Or not that I am Superman, but it made me think of, back when I was a kid, wanting to put on, a sheet and run around and pretend like I was Superman. It made me want to do that. But I'm saying that it was a bit too much. There was points where the action just kind of went overboard, and I thought they should have toned it down a little bit, and so forth. Is it a good film? Yes, it is a good film. But there were some things that were lacking that they could have used a little bit more of, and there was things they used too much of that they could have pulled back. Now, one final thing, Russell Crowe as Jor-El. Personally, I think he was better than Marlon Brando. Because I'm not a big Marlon Brando fan. I don't care for him. I'm sorry if you feel otherwise, but I do not like Marlon Brando. I do think Marlon Brando was good in the original Superman movie. And I think he's good in The Godfather. However, I think Russell Crowe did bring a little bit more emotion to the character Jor-El. I thought it was kind of weird that he had this ability, even though he's dead, that he had this ability to imprint himself into the ship and control it a little bit. That I had a hard time understanding. But other than that, it is an entertaining movie. And I am cutting this movie a little bit of slack. Because if you go back and watch Batman Begins, it's kind of the same thing that happened. I mean, everyone of course, now everyone thinks that the worst one is The Dark Knight Rises. I disagree. If I were to rank those movies, Dark Knight being number 1, Dark Knight Rises being number 2, Batman Begins be the worst one. And everyone thinks Batman Begins, all of a sudden thinks Batman Begins is this great movie. I didn't think it was that great. Do I think it was a good origin story? Absolutely. Is it a good movie? Absolutely. But do I think it's as strong as the other two? No. But that's, I think, how an origin film should be. It's kind of what I feel about this one. It is a origin story. It's a retelling. of the whole Superman. What they're trying to do is to reestablish Superman. They're taking notes from the original stories and putting them into a new story. They're rearranging things. They're changing a little things. But, I don't hear all this complaining about the Marvel films. The Marvel comic book movies have changes in them that are big. They are significant in terms of the original comic book. But yet no one throws a fit over those. DC, they definitely come up for air and start complaining. But yeah, here's my review of Man of Steel. I do encourage everyone to at least see it somehow. Do go see it in the theater. If you're for the theater, go see it on theater. If you want to wait. I mean, it's up to you. I did think it was a very, very entertaining movie. It was full price for me. In terms of stars, I would give it a 4.0 star. Like I said, there was points of it where there was too much on screen, and then there was points where it lacked and it could have been dealt with. So there you go. Stay tuned. I'll have a DVD and Blu-ray update coming up, so don't go anywhere.